All right. Oh, the next call I'm very excited for. We are going to talk to Michael from Twin Cities. And Michael is a Christian. And I can't wait for him to talk to you because the evidence of living tissue found in dinosaur fossils and how things can't be as
Ooh.
old as scientists say. And I can smell Mary Schweitzer and I'm pumped. How you doing, Michael?
Yep,
Hi,
Welcome
Michael.
to
as
the
you guessed
line.
it, Mary
I
Schweitzer.
did.
Hello. Hello.
Nice to meet you. So, what's your best evidence for Christianity, sir?
Well, I mean, aside from historical cases for the resurrection, which I wasn't all that interested in talking about because I like big giant lizards, I find that
Oh,
the evidence for dinosaurs is particularly interesting. And the living tissue that was found in a number of different dinosaur bones, first dug up by Mary Schweitzer in 2005, with a T-Rex bone that was broken in half because of the size as it was being transported. And they found living tissue, that being red blood cells and collagen, which both decay pretty rapidly and leans itself more towards fossils being closer to 4,000 years old as opposed to 65 million. So
Okay.
that's the big,
Can I ask you a few questions about that?
go for it.
So you listed blood cells and collagen. No, well, first of all, you are calling them living. You're calling it living tissue. Now, I have read a lot of these studies and done a lot of these videos on this topic, and I've interviewed Mary. So
Have you? Okay.
we're calling
Cool.
it. Yeah. She's been on my show, so you can check that out. So you called them living tissue. Do you believe that's the accurate phrasing? Was it
I
alive?
wouldn't be entirely confident of that. From the way I've heard it, it's that the tissue itself was still structurally intact, not that it was still producing anything. If we want to use
Okay.
the definition of living as something that keeps on reproducing, it can't reproduce anymore, but the fact that it is still survived, so I guess we should maybe call it surviving tissue.
Okay.
That might be a better
So
term.
have you, this is, an evidence that you're really excited about. So have you done a lot of, I'm going to ask you some more questions. Have you done some research on this, on the soft tissue?
Um,
So younger fictions typically call it soft tissue, that which might be a phrase, but I don't actually agree
okay.
that that is a good phrase either. So you listed
Right.
collagen and you listed blood cells. I'm going to come back to collagen for a second. So in your understanding, blood cells were found,
Yeah.
or what did Mary find? So
So
go
it
ahead.
was, as far as I understand it, it was that there were red blood cells that were still intact. At least some of the DNA and parts of it had been intact.
There's okay. So sorry. To the best of my knowledge, and I've interviewed Mary on this, no one has ever found dinosaur DNA, not even a little bit.
Okay.
Are you specifically aware of DNA being found? Or is that just how got it
Not
resonated with you?
specifically. That's how I understood it. I definitely could have misunderstood what was.
Okay.
So
So now what Mary found, and the way she describes it, is she found iron in the shape of blood cells. Do you know are you aware of any evidence that would call it something other than iron in the shape of blood cells?
not specifically, but I don't
Okay.
know that I've done
You,
quite enough
what,
research
now
on this.
you're aware that
So
iron is part of our blood, right?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
and that
So
you would expect
when,
maybe to find some iron deposits in a piece of rock, which fossils
right,
are.
right.
So
So what Mary found and what everyone else has found since when it comes to blood is not actually blood. What they found is iron perfectly preserving the shape of blood cells. So it's not a big mystery
blood
why
vessels.
iron,
right,
sorry.
right.
Blood
So it's
vessels,
not a
yeah.
big surprise that, yeah, well, so the vessels are separate, but the actual blood cells that people
Oh,
point
okay.
to are literally just circles of iron. So that's not surprising. The collagen you spoke of, what do you know about collagen? What in our body is made of collagen?
I'm not. It's more of a skin tissue, if I'm remembering correctly.
Not typically. So the things in our body made of collagen would be our hair. That's the most skin-like, but
Okay.
also our bones. And collagen, for example, is very prevalent in like antlers and all those things.
Okay.
Collagen is the longest lasting thing that we have. So our teeth has a lot more collagen than even our regular bones, if I remember correctly. And I was a young earther up until recently. So everyone, please forgive me when you're screaming that I'm getting a few things up. But all that said, like collagen is also the least surprising thing to be still around because again, horns are made of that, teeth are made of that, our bones are highly collagenized. The so when I hear young earthers talk and I don't use that. When I hear people talking about, this, and again, it's not living tissue, it's not even soft. Collagen at this point is actually a very hard substance, but it's still biological residue. So you're not fully replaced. It is really exciting from a scientific standpoint that they found collagen. But what we don't necessarily expect is like collagen is the last thing to go on a body that we know about. So the fact that it still exists is
Fair
in
enough.
and of itself not amazing and not living. So, okay. So given all that I've said there, what do you feel like you've investigated this enough to be confident that your understanding of living tissue in dinosaurs is a great evidence?
I would no, and I'm not going to bring it up again until I do some good enough researching to be able to justify it. So,
Michael,
Okay.
you're a star, Michael. Wow. That is a super honest answer and the right one too. Absolutely. So
And I definitely,
yeah,
I want
no,
to
if you
I want
can't
to
make a
clap for
justifiable
Michael. That's
claim,
awesome.
then
okay.
Go look at Paul's videos and there'll be links to like
Well, or don't,
your
or
video
pick
with
some,
Mary.
yeah, I'm going to look into that interview.
or pick a Christian source, pick a, or talk to Mary herself, who, is a Christian. You probably, are aware of that. So she doesn't have a horse in that race in terms of trying to make it old. She's just being honest about the science and saying, no, what I found was iron. No, what I found was this. And, and she had to literally had to
Right.
dissolve this stuff in acid for days and days before it even, got to the point where she could look at this stuff. So yeah, research it
Right.
more before you talk to someone, because that will make your case more compelling.
And she's
Right.
articulated
So-
that she's a little frustrated that her research is consistently misrepresented in order to make an argument. And I think you may have
Yeah,
fallen
that
victim
wouldn't
to
be fair.
somebody that, yes, you may have fallen victim to somebody, making a compelling argument using components that, in every lie, there's a kernel of truth, right? So somebody may have been using components of her research findings to present it to you framed in an inaccurate light in order to make the position. But yeah, don't take our word for it. Go look it up. I believe that the original interview on Steve McCrae's channel and
Well, that
or
was,
on the Great
but
Debate
I
Community
mean,
channel.
or look at,
Yeah.
look at
Read her stuff.
look at the separate things. Like go
Yeah.
to, she's been on BBC, she's been on, all kinds of science journals. Look her up in Scholar. If you don't know scholar.google.com, everyone should know that site.
Yeah,
And look up Mary Schweitzer. So you can read her actual papers in her words. So that'd be great.
absolutely.
All right.
And we appreciate it. Do
And
you have anything else? Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
all I was going to
Um,
say is,
Nothing
we
that I
define
feel
dinosaur
confident
DNA.
enough to argue on in this particular concept. So,
Okay.
I mean, because I could talk
Thanks,
about,
Michael.
say, dinosaur legends, but, we don't need to go there right now. But good talking with you. I'll look into this more.
Thank you.
And we'll see if we
We
can get to
appreciate
the
you.
truth a little bit better.
All right. Have a great Sunday.
Awesome, Michael. I appreciate you. I respect that. Thank you for calling. All right. So now that was a great call. How'd you feel about that,
Good call.
Paul? When I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness,
I-
how's it going to go? Mike's fantastic. Good for
Yeah,
Michael.
no, I'm very pleased that like he's willing to go the step that I wasn't willing to go for far too long, which was to read the opposite side. So that's great.
Yeah, just take a step back and say, oh, okay, maybe I should look at it again. I have so much respect for that. That's fantastic. Good job, Michael. I hope Michael calls back at some point in time to let us all know what he found.